All right. So, yeah, why don't you begin? So, tell us what you were diagnosed with and what happened.
Okay. I should probably give a little bit of a backstory because this goes back quite a while. I was when I was 48 years old back in 1993, I was tagged with having hereditary hemochromatosis, iron overload, and I'd never heard of it before. I had been suffering some mysterious joint pains, a great amount of fatigue for years. Doctors couldn't find what it was, and then you try nutrition, you try Rolfing, you try anything and everything to try and find relief. And I got a call from my sister one night, lives in New York, and she said the doctor had tested her and found this thing called hereditary hemochromatosis and that her siblings should get tested. So I did the testing, found out that I had inherited the mutated gene from both my father and my mother. So that's when I started to get what they call de-ironed, where they start aggressively giving you phlebotomies to remove the excess iron, which is generally stored in the liver. And it took about over 60 phlebotomies in a little over a year to get my iron back down to normal levels. And then what they do is they test you periodically for the rest of your life for your ferritin count in your liver. And they also put a test in there called alpha-Fetoprotein. It's a protein that will pick up any cancer activity in your liver. So that was 1994. I went all the way up until 2017 with no rise in that ferritin or in that AFP number. I just stayed steady down to number 2, number 3, which showed no cancer activity. And then in November of 2017, I got a call. My daughter's actually an oncology nurse at a local hospital. She called me, having seen the test results, saying that my AFP number had jumped and that I should get in and have them take a look. So I went in immediately, had an MRI done. It showed a small tumor in my liver. This is all new to me. I was sent over to Honolulu, where the larger hospital is, and they did this high-tech procedure called radio wave ablation or radio frequency ablation and removed this small tumor. And I thought I kind of cheated cancer, because it was such an easy, painless procedure for me.
So this was 2017, yes?
This is 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So I had that tumor removed. Had really the worst side effect for me was a day of uncontrollable hiccuping because my right lung had been punctured and had to reinflate, and that was the worst of it. I felt like, boy, if this is cancer, I'm off easy. So because of that, they changed the testing a little bit, and every 3 months, I would get an MRI in addition to the regular ferritin and AFP testing. And I went along fine for 2.5 years. I guess I should go back. My oncologist told me that unfortunately, because I'd made this tumor, it was now in my DNA and I could reproduce tumors in the future. And that's why they wanted to test me. So I went about 2.5 years. I went from like December of 17 to June of 2020, when my AFP test jumped again and the number went higher, showing a small tumor. And that was in the early days of COVID. So we were then doing appointments by phone rather than in person. And on the MRI test, the radiologist said he thought he picked up this small lump, this small tumor, but he suggested another test, maybe a CT scan, to get a second reading on it. So because it was the midst of COVID, we were in the middle of COVID, I mentioned it with the oncologist on the phone. Excellent doctor, good doctor. He said, well, he saw that too. He said, we'll monitor it. And I don't know if that was the correct thing to do, because the second tumor ended up lodging itself very close to an arterial blood supply. So from June, when they first saw signs of it on the MRI, and then in July, excuse me, in July, I went into the hospital to have my second knee replaced. Had the knee replaced, came out of the hospital. By then, I was starting to feel a little bit of nausea, a little bit of discomfort, starting to lose my appetite a little bit. I pushed for the second test. The second test was done in late September, early October, and
So
it showed that
that was the CT. That was the CT scan, the second test?
that was the CT scan to kind of redefine the MRI. And the tumor had gone from about 1.5 centimeters to 4.5, 5 centimeters in that 3 months. And by then I was not feeling very well. My oncologist presented my situation to a liver surgeon, and the liver surgeon declined the surgery because he felt it was too close to the artery. So the next procedure, the next suggestion was to do a TAE, a transarterial embolism. And they chose to do it without chemo, which I was grateful for. I didn't want chemo. They
Okay,
can do it either with or without chemo.
what is this? This TEA or TAE?
Transarterial embolism. They put a catheter in the upper part of your femoral artery, I think. They run the catheter up to your liver, watching it all through a fluoroscope or a big screen. They find the tumor, and then they insert these nano-beads of some sort. I don't know if they're silicone or what they are, but these beads hopefully will choke off the blood supply from the artery and help kill or fight back the tumor.
Or are
They
those
did that.
radioactive beads?
They were not. They were not.
Uh-huh.
They were not radioactive. That came later. So that was in mid-November. It was like on a Tuesday. Thursday, Friday of that week, my nausea started to really get worse.
Hold on a second.
And
So you did do this. You did do this TAE.
I did do this.
Mhm.
Yes, that was. I didn't know what else to do at that
Mhm.
moment. That was the only thing that was suggested to me, since the surgeon wasn't really confident that he'd be successful with the surgery. So I started to feel really, really terrible. I mean, I have a newfound appreciation for people suffering from nausea because it was overwhelming. It was 24/7. Even drinking water was a challenge. I felt so terrible. And that's when I started to drop weight. I basically was, middle November was 180 pounds. By early January, I was 143. Just going downhill. So in my earlier tumor and before that, I had gotten interested in RSO, which is the Rick Simpson oil. I don't know if that goes by that name in Europe, but it's it's all by hearsay and anecdotal. But I had used it, and I feel like this stuff has a purpose and can work. So I started using that again. And I started to go on a reading binge. I just started to read up on cancer and see if there's any, what I could do. And I started to come across the work of Otto Warburg and kind of the, rather than molecular, the metabolic theory on cancer. And I was going to good acupuncture at that time. I've been going to him for years. And he mentioned to me, just, without any he just mentioned me, I went down last week and had this Ozone doctor work on my knee. And I'd never heard of Ozone. I had no idea what it was. So I asked, because I'm always, especially that time, open to anything that could possibly. So he told me about the Ozone, and I immediately called up this doctor in Paya, where I live, and got in to see her and started doing, I couldn't do the 10, she didn't want to do the 10 pass because she was afraid my liver was not in a condition maybe to be able to take all that. So we started with like 3 and 4 passes. And I, at the same time, so this is January of 2021. I started also with my daughter's assistant, started doing vitamin C IV infusions, but not at the same time. You know, I would spare them apart a few days. And one day late in and also in my testing in early January, my AFP number, the Fetoprotein number, was at like 386. It was just, it had never been higher than 40 earlier. So it just showed that something was wrong, that the TAE, the embolism, wasn't maybe working the way they were hoping it would, which I understand it was palliative anyway, rather than being a cure, you know, something that kind of help you along.
Oh, so hold on a second. So this TAE, this is supposed to choke off the blood supply and starve out the cancer.
Apoptosis or something, yeah, help choke off the blood supply, which feeds the cancer cells and makes them multiply so quickly. One day in the middle of December, middle of January, after starting the vitamin C, the RSO, and the ozone, I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and I was thinking I would like to eat breakfast. It was the first time I was hungry in like 3 months. Actually, food had a, you know, I'd like some breakfast. And I told my wife and made a small breakfast last morning. I was able to actually put it down. And that was it for the day. I didn't want any more food. And after a few days of doing this, I was like, oh, it's in the afternoon now. I'm hungry now too. So my hunger was starting to increase. And I was starting to actually feel human again. My early February testing scores still was sky high, but my AFP number had come down from 386 to about 214, 215. Well, it was at least heading down rather than going up anymore. I was starting to feel better. I was actually putting on a few pounds and eating lightly, and started to read more about intermittent fasting. And I had fasted once or twice when I was young in my 20s, and I really believed in the health benefits that could provide. So just the term intermittent fasting caught my eye, and we both started to probably lightly get into intermittent fasting, where we were eating within 6 or 8 hours in the day. Continued to feel a little improvement during February. Early March, I had a double appointment on a Friday morning. First, I went in to see my oncologist. And by then, he had talked to a couple more doctors in Honolulu. And although 2 of them said no, there was a transplant specialist in Honolulu who said that she would do the surgery. And it would be a 2-part surgery. I would go in one time and they would insert these Y90, that's the radioactive beads you mentioned. They would insert these radioactive beads into the left lobe of my liver, kill off some cells, and have the liver, that lobe of the liver, start regenerating new cells. And then 5 or 6 weeks later, go into the right lobe of my liver and remove the tumor and remove some of my right lobe of my liver. I've had 6 major surgeries this century. I've had 4 joints replaced. I've had my spine fused. I've had 2 MRSA infections from hospitals. One that when I had my first knee replaced in 2017, it put me in another hospital for 12 or 13 days fighting MRSA infections. I've pretty much, I hope that I'm through with surgery for the rest of my life. I don't want any more. I don't want to go through the recovery. And I also, while I have been getting these phlebotomies for the last 20-something years, the last 10 years, I've been getting them at the local hospital. So I sit in the oncology ward watching these poor people who are, I'm giving blood, they're receiving chemo or whatever new drugs have come along. And I'm watching and I'm seeing how sad their lives can be. And I pretty much, anyway, I went to see him. This nice lady in Honolulu had offered to do the surgery. And then I went up to, he put me in front of the local radiation specialist here on the island. Very good man, very well educated. And they both kind of just tried to persuade me to have the surgery done, that if it was successful, it would put another 15 years on my life. I was 75 at the time, I'm 76 now. 15 years sounded great in one way, but in another way, it was like, if I can't live well. So anyway, I declined the surgery. I politely said I didn't want it. They talked to me about end of life things, and that day I had to get my testing again done again that day. So I went afterwards and had the ferritin and AFP tests done, and I was feeling good. You know, things were feeling better to me. And the next morning, I got up early, checked my computer. The results had come in on the computer, and my AFP number had crashed down to 14 from 386 in January down to 215 or so in February. It crashed down to 14, which was like.
What is the normal number? What is the normal range?
For me, for a good range is like under 5. Under 2, under 3, which is what the last tests have shown, is no activity whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a year later now. That was in early March of 2020. Unfortunately, I put on most of my weight again. I'm back up to where I was almost before. And I had my last MRI done in February. And the MRI showed a little bit of the first tumor from 2017 that they kind of cooked with the radio waves. It showed kind of something there. And the second tumor, there are absolutely no sign of the tumor there. So I feel like I've won the lottery.
Incredible.
And I think so too. I feel so blessed, so grateful, but it can be done. I mean, if I can do it, anybody can have it, anyone.
Okay, so let's go into the details of what exactly you did. So you said Rick Simpson's oil, vitamin C, high dose vitamin C, and ozone therapy. Yes?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so how much of the Rick Simpson's oil did you take?
I would take it nightly. It can really knock you out. I mean, I think most people, it just really puts you down and out for a number of hours. I think Rick Simpson, in some of his early work, or when I've seen him on videos, he recommends taking 60 grams, or 60 grams or 60 milligrams within 60 days. I couldn't do that, but it's kind of hit or miss. There's nothing really scientific about it in the dosage, because he'd say, start with half a grain of rice and put it on your finger. And that's hard to mark out on your finger. And it's so expensive that if you put a little too much on, it's like, well, I can't put it back in a bottle. It's so sticky and everything. So I may have been dosing a little heavy, but I was doing that every night. I was doing the vitamin C infusions about once a week. And I ended up buying I was going down to the doctor for the passes probably every week to 10 days.
But hold on a second, the vitamin C, how many grams did you take?
I think 50 milliliter bottle with, with the electrolytes in it, with the magnesium and potassium and calcium added in.
Oh, okay, so it was the Myers cocktail?
Kind of like a Myers cocktail. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Infusion. But how many grams of vitamin C in there? You don't know exactly how much it was?
I think it's a 50 milliliter bottle. I don't know what that would translate into grams, liquid, solid grams.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they come in different dosages and different dosages. I don't know. And if it was the Myers
looks like about a 3 or 4 ounce bottle, and I'm not sure if she uses the whole thing or not.
Mm-hmm.
I could find that out. I would have to inquire from my daughter. And then the ozone, I was doing that as frequently as I could afford it, because it's not covered by insurance, of course, in America. So, it's out of pocket. But absolutely, of course, well worth it. And then I soon after that bought a machine to make the water and do the insufflations and breathing through the olive oil. And
So you were doing the rectal insufflations?
I didn't start that right away. I was kind of cautious on doing that. And so I was doing that. It's more or less been done since, I would say the ozone that helped me early on was the passes and drinking a lot of the water.
So how
Uh,
often were you going in for the passes?
Probably once a week,
hmm
what I could
And,
afford. It was just $500-600 a year for the
and how many did you do in total? Do you know?
I don't. I would have to go back and look at my records. I did it steadily. I started to trail off, talking with the doctor, and as long as my tests were still going well, I started to back off to probably one every 3 or 4 weeks by May or June.
hmm
Still doing that. Now I'm down to about every 6 or 8 weeks. If I sense any kind of, feel I'm unwell or anything else coming back, I will certainly ramp that up a little bit.
hmm So when you started drinking the ozonated water, were you doing this every morning or every other
Yes,
day or every morning?
every morning. Yep.
Okay.
I have I had a 500 milliliter beaker, and I'd share it with my wife, and then I got 1,000 milliliters. So I drink a fair amount of it.
hmm
Drink a fair amount of it,
So
and
like, did you drink the whole 500 milliliter or more or
I
less?
would drink most of it. Probably 2/3. I'd probably drink, at the 500, I would get 3 good glasses out of it. I would drink 2 of those glasses, and my wife would drink 1. And with
hmm
the 1,000 now, there's still 2 to 3 glasses. I
hmm
don't know how the last glass, I leave it in the beaker with the top on it, hopefully so not too much gas escapes, but I don't know how strong the last glass is that I'll have, but I make sure that when I drink it pretty quickly too, so that it's got full potency.
And so you would do this every morning. Every morning you would drink the ozonated
Yes,
water.
yes.
So you would go for the multi-passes once a week, and at the
Hmm.
same time you would drink the ozonated water, or did you
Yes.
stop with a ozone
No,
IV?
I drink the water every day because that was the easiest thing for me to do. For I don't know reasons, I was reluctant at first to get into the rectal insufflations, and then I started that, and I do that 2 or 3 times a week.
You still do this to this day?
Yes.
hmm
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Okay,
And
so when you started with the rectal insufflations, was it also like 2 or 3 times a week, or did you do it
yes.
every day?
Yes.
No,
No, not
do
every
it every-
day, but every day.
Okay, now
And
go ahead. Go ahead.
well, I had watched one of your videos last year on doing it, and so I didn't do it every day. I make sure that I've had a bowel moment before I do it, and if I feel, I still feel I don't feel it's cancer at all, but with the hemochromatosis comes just a fatigue and kind of a low energy. So I have days like that. So I will make sure I take it on days like that. And I got to mention, I forgot to mention earlier that you know long before the tumor showed up, even the first one, I see different specialists because things are affected in the body. A gastroenterologist for my liver and stuff like that. And I had been suffering poor digestion, indigestion, what the doctors call silent GERD, for several years before even the first tumor showed up. And everything I've done in the last year with these protocols, I keep telling my wife, I said, it's not just the tumor that has disappeared. My digestion has improved. I mean, I'm eating really well now, almost too well. My appetite is really good, which it hadn't been good. I was indifferent toward food for a long time. And so whatever the healing is that's going on has gone beyond just this tumor. If I believe the stuff that, tumor is the end line of things that have started to go wrong much earlier, it's just the end, kind of the end of a process. whatever's going on has gone beyond that and healed some of my digestion and stuff. You know, the doctors always tried to have me on omeprazole, which is I know they have that over there, but you know, it's a digestive thing to try and help with it. I don't do well with a lot of medicines, you know, so I wasn't using it much, and I'm probably suffering a little bit because of it. But now I'm just doing great.
So hold on a second. When you said this one number, what was it? AFP, yes, or AFT or something?
Alpha-Fetoprotein. It's a
Alpha-Fetoprotein.
Yep.
That had gone below 3, so basically it had gone down to the normal range by when? When was this? When it had normalized?
The early March of 21. Yep.
Early
The
March.
day after I saw the 2 doctors that were trying to persuade me to get the surgery. And I'm sure you didn't. I'm surprised you didn't hear me hooting and hollering over there. You know, I got the news on the computer, and I was just pretty happy.
Now, did I catch this correctly? That did you say that the ozone water, that you feel like this had a big impact?
I do, because I wasn't doing the insufflations yet. I added those on later. I had the equipment for it, but I was just kind of shy, reluctant to get started with it, and then I finally did, and it's been fine. But before that, it was the water and the passes.
So did you have any immediate reactions after drinking the ozonated water, or not really?
I felt, you know, just a little more energy at first, you know, and then that tapered off. I just feel good when I drink it. And I know that it's so beneficial for me, and it's so easy to do that, you know, I stay with it.
Okay, about the rectal insufflations, do you know what ozone concentration you used?
I on my machine, I have a machine from Longevity. I do the eighth. I'm on an 1/8, and I think I have it on a chart because I have different numbers for the insufflation and the ozonoids with the olive oil. I think maybe in the high 20s.
But do you use a bag that you first fill?
No, I didn't. You know, the bags that I got, I ordered a lot of bags, came, and they didn't have some of the bags that I've seen, like on the videos, had a line across the bag to show you how much you had in the bag. The bags that I bought just were bagged with no lines on them. And I didn't want to do more than the 200 to start, the 200 million. So I bought a nice syringe from
Promolife?
Yes, thank you. Yes. Yep. I got the machine. I get parts for both of them. Yeah, I get that nice plastic 200 milliliter syringe that I use.
That's a great one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So the concentration, you think it was like something in the 20s?
Yeah, I could go get the paper and take a look, but and I've kept it pretty steady. I should probably up it some, but I want to be real cautious.
Now, do you still drink the ozone water, or did you stop at some
point? Oh, no, I drink it. I haven't. We went away for the weekend. I haven't had it in 2 or 3 days now, but if I don't make it every day, I make it every other day. I'll make 1,000 milliliter thing of it. I was watching one of your videos, mentioning where you drink mineral water rather than just distilled. I pretty much drink distilled water to make sure it's really clean. The mineral water, I did that earlier on, years before any of this happened. I would do that sometimes just to try and I had the understanding that it might help leach minute molecules of iron out of your blood too, along with other stuff. But I will switch back and forth between distilled and good clean mineral water to do that. But I do it every day. I've got my distiller at the other end of the table here, and it's part of my morning ritual.
What about the taste of the ozone water? Do you have any problems with that, or you don't mind it?
None. Maybe the first 2 or 3 days. I read the thing where you hold your nose and stuff. The first few days it was rather strong. I don't have a great sense of smell. I have kind of a muted sense of smell. But no, I got used to it very quickly. My wife has a tougher time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As to the multi-passes, so you still go in for the ozone IVs every now and then, yes? Or you're
Yes.
done with it?
I will do one tonight. I haven't done one in probably, I'm down to probably one every 3 to 4 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm due, so I will go to my daughter's this evening and have the infusion. And I had my last, we did 9 passes the last time with the doctor. And I will probably go, that was about 3 weeks ago. So sometime in early April, I'll go back for another one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of maintenance for me at this point.
Mm-hmm. So the last number, this AFP,
P.
AFT,
Mhm.
AFP. Okay.
P.
So
Yep.
so that was below 3, yes?
Yeah, below 2.
Below 2
Yeah, a
even.
little carrot in front of it, below 2, which
Mm-hmm.
is where it had been for years before. I started phlebotomies in 1994, and it was 2017 when the number jumped for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and then it jumped again in 2020. So
Mm-hmm.
it's back down where it originally was, down at 2, showing no cancerous activity.
Mm-hmm. So what did the doctor say? The one who recommended the surgery? What was his reaction?
There wasn't any,
There wasn't any?
none from any. I expected to walk in and have high fives. I thought it would be like, where the balloons and the thing, and never, no inquiry.
No
It is what it
inquiry.
is,
Hold on a second. He didn't ask you, what did you do? Did you do anything special? Nothing?
I like this man. He's a great doctor, but they operate within a pretty rigid set of rules, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
protocols. And it's not one of their protocols. They would probably get in trouble if they, if they recommended anything outside of their lines. But no, nothing.
Honestly,
Very, very,
but he knows that you did some alternatives things, or he has,
yes,
he does,
yes, yes.
does he know
And
what
and
you
I
did
I
exactly?
I, I huh?
Does
Excuse
he
me?
know what you did exactly, or no specifics? Just
No specifics.
and he also didn't ask for any specifics.
Well, they also have, in America now we have PAs, physicians assistants.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're above nurses, but maybe a step down from the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of like routed toward her more now because I'm not in an acute phase of anything. So I have been not shocked. Nothing shocks me anymore. But I've been a bit dismayed that there was no curiosity or, because to me it's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And to be able to do it without the heavy, tricky, messy liver surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And there's, I guess I should mention too, if anybody is out there that's in a similar situation, getting your emotions, your mind, and everything behind it are so important also.
Yeah.
Be your own best cheerleader. You got to be your own best cheerleader and
Mm-mm-mm.
be,
Yeah. And have
rooting for
faith.
yourself. Have faith.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. It can happen. It does
Yeah.
happen.
So what about your family now? You said that is it your daughter who is an oncologist nurse? So I can imagine she was
She
a little
was, she
skeptical.
was, she was, not long after I had that incident or the whole experience a year and a half ago. She moved away from that. She's now working with a naturopath on the island, and they do infusions. They do all kinds of infusions and stuff. So she's in a place where they're really trying to heal people
Mm-hmm. Now,
with other means.
did you have support from your other family members, or
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah?
it's my wife, my and my wife has just been incredible. She's been been unbelievable. You know,
Awesome.
she has been there by my side through my surgeries and my infections, and she's become quite a chef trying to, you know, get my weight back on, and she's been absolutely outstanding. So it's been a great thing, and you know, I get scared every once in a while. I get nervous that, you know, what happens if this comes back? What if the magic doesn't work next time? You know, but it'll be what it'll be.
Mm-mm. Now, talking about chef work, did you change your diet in any way?
We went, yeah, because you know, when, like I was saying earlier, my diet had been, I would eat what she would put in front of me, and because I don't have a great sense of smell, I don't think my taste is so defined either. But because of the indigestion and reflux and stuff, I wasn't, you know, I was eating to eat. Now I'm enjoying it more. We've gone intermittent fasting, you know, so we try to eat within a confined amount of time each day. You wouldn't really call what we were doing keto, maybe keto light, you know, trying to get really reduce carbs and more meats and cheeses. And I feel great.
Okay, so you were eating meats regularly, yes?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I, for me, fortunately for me, I've never been a steak lover, a red meat lover, which worked out well with my iron overload because, you know, I wasn't absorbing that much more iron when I was younger. I do eat it. I love a hamburger or a good steak once a month. I mostly fresh fish, chicken, a little bit of pork.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
we've got great fish out here in Hawaii, so
Hmm.
really good.
Hmm.
But more meats, more cheeses, and still have a glass of wine once in a while, which cross my fingers on that one, but you know.
So, but okay, so you were doing all those three things. So the Rick Simpson's oil, vitamin C infusions, and the ozone therapy the whole time together. Yes.
To get the RSO I was doing every night because it
Hmm. Hmm.
really helped me sleep.
Hmm.
And I have trouble sleeping. And so it put me down for 10, 11 hours. It's actually too, it lasts too long, you know, at least for me. And I was doing you know, maybe let's what you suggested. I think in a video I watched of yours the other day of, you know, is vitamin C um, and the ozone, should you be taking that at the same time? And when I watched that, I thought, uh-oh. But when I thought back to last year, I wasn't doing it within days of each other. You know, I do one, I do the other.
Hmm.
And perhaps that separation between the two
Hmm.
helped them both
Hmm.
without canceling one of it, you know, canceling the other one out.
I tried Rick Simpson's oil once and was like literally like it was a friend of mine. She really pressured me to take it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that was around 12 years ago. It was back then, it wasn't it still was illegal, right?
Yes.
Now I think you can get it legally, right? You don't have to, you know, do it under the table and, you know, search out some shady, some weird
Yes.
channels. You can do it out in the open, right? But back
I,
then,
I yeah. I
back,
think it's still kind of, I'm not sure. It might still be under the table a little bit. The state of Hawaii and many states in the United States now have opened up. Like we have medical marijuana, and you're allowed to grow up to 10 plants yourself. I'm a gardener, so you know I have the permit. I grow it and I make it. So
oh, you
I
make
hope
the
I
oil
hope
yourself?
yes. I
Oh,
hope I don't get arrested for that one. But yeah, I've made my own, and yeah, so I know where it's coming from. I know what's, you know, I know there's no, the stuff's clean. It's not laced with anything.
got it.
Um,
Yeah.
we have two stores on the island that are legally permitted to sell many kinds of marijuana products, but I think they've been slow in accepting edibles, although they are now and stuff. I haven't seen RSO in those stores, so I think you may still have to find someone
Oh,
that
so
makes
it
it.
does not count as an edible legally, or
I
does it?
don't I don't think it is. I have not seen it in any store, and I know people sometimes inquire. I heard about a lady a few weeks ago that was in her 30s and had very serious, I don't know whether it was cervical or ovarian cancer, and she's not doing well. And she was asking around looking for it. So I don't know if you can really just buy it in the store
Mhm.
yet.
Mhm. But yeah, so I tried, like, it was like literally just like the tip of an eye of a toothpick,
Yeah,
just the tip of a toothpick. And she really wanted me to try it, and she was really pressuring me. And I didn't want to get high,
yes,
and so I didn't want to take it, but she pressured me and I took it. And it was extremely strong. It really knocked me out for several
yes,
hours, put me to sleep,
yes.
and made me high. And
It's,
yeah, I wasn't crazy about this. And plus, I didn't have anything specific that I was treating. She was just like wanting to experiment on me, I
have you
think.
experienced it? Oh, good for you.
Right.
It is, it is medicine. It is not like it's something you want to take at a party.
Yeah.
I think when people, even edibles, I think some people, and I'm not a great fan of THC. THC is very strong to me, but as a medicine, I kind of believe the stuff that Raphael Mechoulam and those fellas in Israel have found over the years with all their good research and stuff.
Well, I'm not.
Definitely.
I don't think I've heard of those guys.
Raphael Mechoulam.
I don't think.
Um, he he's probably close to 90 now, but he is this gnome-like guy that since the mid 60s has done all the heavy lifting and the research in marijuana. I think he identified THC, identified CBD. Years later, his laboratory discovered the endocannabinoid system. So there's science behind it. And I think the next generation now, they're getting the stuff down where probably a few years from now there will be pills with this stuff in it that this particular terpene and endocannabinoid will work with this type of cancer. I mean, I think they're really, it's just been denied for so long.
Mhm. So
You know,
now, does it make you high, or does it just knock you
it
out?
it makes me high. I'm hoping that I'm asleep by the time it makes me high. It makes me high in the sense that if I have something emotional going on that's kind of below the radar, below the surface, it'll just percolate it up, and I will pretty much have to think about it and deal with it. And I think emotionally, that's one of the things that where it helps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My understanding is that at least in some cultures and some traditions, the liver houses old, stale emotions.
Mm-mm.
So good
Yes.
to good to ventilate them. Good to clean them out,
Yeah. Air it out. Yeah.
air it out. Yep. There's energetic healing that goes on in addition to everything else. Yeah.
Mm. So if you had to guess, what would you say had the biggest impact of the things that you did on your recovery, or is it impossible to tell?
I think it's impossible. And going back to Mechoulam, and he came up with the term. I think it was he came up with the term many years ago about the entourage effect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, separating CBD from THC, all this separating all that out. The early researchers said, it's a plant. It has a life. It has an energy. There's an entourage effect to it, and I'm not sure. Like, I like to think it was the three of them together, but I also have to include the TAE that I had, the embolism, because it probably kicked off the heavy killing or the early killing of some of the cancer cells. I
Right.
sure as hell felt like it was.
Right. Okay.
It
So
was
now,
all.
could they tell on the MRI or the CT scan whether the TAE did what it was supposed to do? Did it
Well,
shut off that blood supply?
I I don't know. So it was done in mid-November. The first AFP test that I had done was in early January, and that's when the number was screaming high, like 386. And I had an MRI done about the same time, and it still showed the tumor there. I don't know if it showed any shrinkage or not.
Mm-hmm.
So it was between January and March when everything just kind of, when it just collapsed or died or fell apart or whatever it does.
Hold on a second. Did you say that TAE was in September? Yes, 2020.
November.
November.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, right. Then it could have been also partially the effect of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And my understanding from reading about it at the time is that I think with liver cancer, liver transplant, and liver surgery, they consider to be curative. You can cut out the cancer, get rid of it.
Mhm.
The other procedures like the radio wave ablation, maybe the TAE, there might be another one, maybe, and of course now they're using the immunotherapy drugs.
Mhm.
They are, or at least the TAE and the other were more palliative. They would help you suffer less. You wouldn't be in as much pain.
Mhm.
I know, I don't want to be someone out there screaming and spouting, this is a cancer cure, that's a cancer cure. I just think in my case, especially the vitamin C and the ozone, they both really supercharge your immune system from what I understand and believe. And I think that's part of the key,
Mm-mm. Right. Yeah.
Your immune system is bogged down. This thing, whatever sickness is overwhelming it, and you get in there and wake up and charge all your T cells and everything else. It goes at it.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know what else to believe.
Yeah. Well, it worked,
Yeah, I'm
right?
still here. I'm still here. I've
Yeah.
been given extra innings and I feel great. That's a year later, and I hope I get 10 or 15 more good ones. But we'll just see it happens as it comes.
Awesome.
Yeah. I hope, cancer's so awful. We're getting closer and closer, and these are just more things in our quiver as far as trying to heal this and get past it. But it happened to me with the simple things I did, others can hopefully do the same
Mhm.
rather than just accepting.
Yeah, we need to share those alternative success stories because like the latest statistics tell us that basically I think it's 40 or 50% of people who are alive today in the civilized first world will develop cancer in their lifetimes, right? So we have all of us, we have a 50% chance of basically coming down with cancer. So
Yes.
I mean, those, this is a real epidemic, right? And
No kidding. Yep.
so we have to have as many tools at our disposal as possible because
Yes.
the conventional tools, they're often enough they don't work.
And at least in America, so expensive.
Yeah, right.
You don't have the right kind of insurance. You don't have access to them.
Right.
Yeah. And from what I did read, I haven't read much the last few months, but when I was reading about this a year and a quarter ago, the newer drugs that they're developing, again, they have so much to do with the immune system.
Mm-mm.
So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
You
where we're
boost,
going.
right. You improve your
Yeah.
immune system, and then the immune system basically does all the work. Right.
Yes. Yep. Let me ask you, one thing I'm considering doing is getting into the ozone sauna. Do you like those? Yeah.
Oh yes, yes, absolutely. Ozone saunas are great. I think they're a great systemic treatment. They're much overlooked. Um, and okay, so when it comes to ozone saunas, there are like two extremes. So there's one camp that says, "Oh no, there's no research. What ozone sauna? No, they don't do anything." And then the other camp says, "No, yes, they're wonderful, but you have to do the whole cuts." The whole cuts. This is basically ozone together with CO2, and then you can also pair it with pulsed electromagnetic frequencies and I think rife frequencies and some other frequencies. And so this is like the Lamborghini, of ozone
Yeah,
saunas.
I could afford a Lamborghini. If they had a Volkswagen, maybe I would.
Yeah, but the Volkswagen, so the thing is that the Volkswagen also brings you from A to B, you know, it doesn't have to be the Lamborghini, right? If you take the
Okay.
Lamborghini, you may crash midway, you know.
Yeah, right.
You know, the
Yeah.
Volkswagen, you know, does the job just as well, you know.
Get you there.
So,
Yeah.
and the whole kit, you know, so they have different models, and so the prices range from, like, I think $9,000 at a discounted price. So if you're lucky and if they do some, you know, special sales or something, then you may buy it for like $9,000. If you don't have a discount, then it's, I think, close to $20,000. And the most expensive model of the whole kit goes up to, I think, $68,000, you know.
Definitely Lamborghini.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, or, you know, and so people, you know, think that that they have to have the whole kit because otherwise it's not really worth doing, you know. And this is completely wrong. Okay, you can just use a simple foldable sauna tent that you can literally buy on Amazon for $100. You know, hook it up to the ozone equipment that you already have. You know, and this
Okay.
will absolutely do the job.
Oh, good. Good.
And
That's more my ballpark. Yeah.
yeah, and this is absolutely, this is a viable treatment. There are great testimonials from people with all sorts of very serious conditions. So yeah, ozone sauna it's a great treatment.
And the ozone in general is what I'm going forward. You know, I have the generator, I have the equipment, so I can do the insufflation, I can do the ears. I haven't done the ears much. I can do the ears, I can breathe the olive oil, and this stuff I already have, so I don't have to, you know, continually go out and you know, be paying a lot to get the other stuff done.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah, but the ozone, yeah, if you already have, if you have your oxygen, you have your ozone generator, yeah, then absolutely, you know, buy the ozone sauna and do that, because this is a great treatment. Absolutely. I believe that it can be even stronger than certain intravenous ozone treatments, you know, because you are sitting there for half an hour and your entire skin, which is the biggest organ of our body,
yes.
is
Yes.
exposed nonstop for 30 minutes to ozone, right? So this is a
Yeah.
lot of ozone that you're able to absorb.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely go for
Do you
it.
have a video I can get when I get this? You have a video where I can go find out the gamma and everything that I
Yes, I have
would.
on my website, I have also like a guide, a step-by-step guide with, you know, settings or, you know, recommended concentrations and also how to set it up. Yeah, it's
Good.
really easy. So
Good.
yeah,
Yeah, that's next. Yeah.
awesome,
Staying well.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else that you feel
No,
you'd like to
I'm
share?
glad I got your email. I got the email a few weeks ago where you mentioned your liver in it, and that made me send back a reply, and thank you so much.
Well, yeah, thank you for replying, and yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Yeah, well, my fingers are crossed that somebody can use it, you know,
I hope so
get better.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.